Hey everybody, this is Angie, also known as Delight. Welcome to my channel. Please stop what you're doing, like this video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, share this video if you like after viewing, and if you'd like to make a donation to me, my PayPal information, my Cash App information will be in the description box or found in the comment section. I really, really, truly appreciate those who have been donating to me. When you donate to me, I will email you and thank you, and I will ask you, do you have a topic or a question, and I will do a video, your own video response to your question. Of course, if you, the more you donate, the longer your video will be. So if you're going through something and you really don't have an answer for it, or you haven't found a video on YouTube based on that particular topic or experience that you have with narcissists, send me a donation. I will email you. Now, I will only be able to get your email if you give it to me in the comment section, or you have the information through the PayPal account. But if you donate to me and I do not see your email, I will comment to you, whoever you are, leave a comment and let me know that you donated to me, and I will respond to you that way, and then I will email you. I don't really want to give my email address out on YouTube like that because I don't want to get flooded with a whole bunch of mail from people, okay? I like to communicate, but I like to kind of keep my communication limited because it's very draining to answer all the comments and then answer all the emails and still have my own social life as well. Okay. I probably won't be taking any clients until I'm like officially a life coach. I don't want to take on any clients until I'm certified, and I hope y'all understand that. But I'm so thankful to those of you who have been sticking with me as I'm growing my channel, and sometimes I have to take breaks because it can be draining, and just as things going on in life, and I'm just going through some things right now as well, and I don't want to give you just anything. I'm not a person who's trying to pump out videos every 5 seconds to build up my subscribers. I want to make sure I actually have something to talk about. I actually have some gems to give you. I don't want to just make videos just to make videos, just to hear my own voice. I don't want to do that. I'm a Leo, and we are very hard on ourselves. Like, we don't want to produce crap. We want to give you the best, and we do everything with our heart. Okay, so I don't just want to do videos to just build my subscribers up or to get views and all that. That's just so stupid to me. But I am thankful that my subs have been increasing, and I see everybody's positive comments to me, telling me how much I've helped them. And I'm a humble person, so don't take like my nonchalant excuse me, attitude like I don't care. I'm just always going to remain humble, and I feel like it's really God speaking through me to you to help you. Okay. So today I want to talk about having, narcissists in the workplace, or having a boss as a narcissist, and I might even touch on having a landlord as a narcissist. And I got this today because I had a crazy day, and I have been job hunting. I'm trying to look for either a part-time job or a summer job. I need extra money, for bills, for the kind of lifestyle I like to live. Me being a hairstylist, sometimes the business can be really fickle, and so I've been like job hunting and going on interviews and things like that. Okay, so today I had a job interview in Manhattan. I live in New York City, for those of you who don't know, and this is where I got this idea from, and I was just like, oh my gosh. So I had a second interview for a retail company. Not going to say which retail company, but it was for a retail company. And the first interview I had it with a group of people, which went great. Everybody was cool. But there was one person in the group. I'm going to say there's about 10 of us that we all got interviewed together. It was a group interview. And it's always got to be one narc. At least one narc, okay? In a group, right? It's always that way. Like, they're everywhere. And usually people don't think that, but I am kind of shy. I am a kind of a shy person, but I know how to cut it on and cut it off. And it's so funny how whoever you are will always shine out, even if you're trying to kind of, stay low key, whatever. So I was the last person to get to the group of 10 people, pretty much. So I sat down, I spoke to everybody. Hello, how you doing? And I'm going to say it was like 9 women and 1 guy that was in this group. And our overseer, the guy who was basically interviewing us, it was a male. It was a guy. So it was pretty cool. Everybody meshed well. But so they gave us this exercise where we had to get together and create a business. And we needed to have 3 core values for this particular business. Now, it's so funny how, like I was just, saying before, no matter if you try to downplay yourself, people will still be able to pick up on who you are as a person. And it was really interesting because I really was trying to stay quiet, trying to stay low key, but at the same time still show my personality, because I knew that the overseer, the interviewer, was watching everyone to see who is good at being, a team player, basically. So to my far right, there was this one girl. So I asked the group, I don't know, I'm a leader, I'm a Leo, we go in, we just leaders. And President Obama, I'll still call him President Obama, he's a Leo. And that kind of gives you that kind of Leo energy of how Leos are born to be leaders, okay? Not just Leos, but I'm just saying that's my personality. And we go into like full boss mode. So I was like, all right, once we got into the group, we all got closer, we pulled our chairs together. I said, first, we need to pick what kind of, business we want to create. And then we need to pick a name. And I kind of went into full, force of leadership there. And there was another woman who was to my left, and she also had a huge personality. So it was between her being like the mouthpiece, so to say, but me being like more of the brains of the operation. But then I kind of slid back because I didn't want to be too overpowering and kind of look like I did not know how to be a team player. So this is when I pinpoint who the narc of the group was. So there was a girl that was to my far right, and every time I said something, she was like, well, that's illegal, and well, that you can't really do that. And I was just like, what the hell? And I mean, everyone else in the group was just looking at her like, it's a pretend business. Like there was absolutely no rules. This wasn't a real business, where laws were included or things like that. Like, it wasn't going to be that deep. She was pretty much knocking every idea down. Thank God, I have a certain aura to where people was like being agreeable to me. And we actually we're on a time frame. We don't have time for narcissists or, negative people to be like, well, that wouldn't work. And you know what? That's not a good idea. And we needed to create a damn business within like 7 minutes, okay? They did not give us a lot of time to put this business together. And it was just so funny how when everything came together, they didn't hand her, the group didn't hand her the paper that we wrote everything down to present to the interviewer. They handed me the paper. And I said, well, who voted for me? They said, we did. Here, you're our spokesperson. So, it was really, really funny how even if you try to be low key, people would still be able to pick up on your aura. And I kind of felt like, So that, narcissists, they are able to still pick up on your aura, no matter if you're trying to remain low key. People see you for who you are, regardless, because we're spirits. People see your spirit first. Okay, so I ended up presenting the business. The guy thought it was great and it was cool, and most of us we made it to the second interview. So I had the second interview today, and I'm sitting in the waiting area, and the second interview is where they interview you by yourself. And so in walks the narc female, and she walks in, and there's empty seats everywhere. Okay, so there's a guy here next to me. I'm sitting here. There was an empty seat next to me, but the seats were just so close. So I really wouldn't want anyone to kind of sit, to my right, because, I wanted some space, And then it was an empty seat, and then there was another girl sitting to the right. So the guy, me, empty seat, another woman. Okay, so the narc walks into the office, and she looks around, and keep in mind there's a whole row of empty seats in front, of the office, of the waiting area. And she just looks around and she spots me, and I'm telling you, I'm in my head like, ah, shit. Here we go. I just knew she was going to sit, I knew she was going to sit next to me. Me, personally, I would have just spoken and said, hi, how you doing, girl? And sat down in the empty row. Because, you want to be comfortable. She chooses to sit next to me. So she sits next to me. And, just in my head, I'm just like, I know this girl's a narc. I just know, like, her aura, her vibe, everything. Now, even though we're in, even though it's still, we're not in, like, being interviewed. We're in an office. People are waiting to be interviewed. It's kind of like, don't talk so much. Like, I just want to sit here in silence, wait for my name to be called, get interviewed so I can get the hell up out of here. That's what I really wanted, right? So, anyway, she sits next to me, and then she's automatically like, ugh. And remember when I was telling y'all about how narcs would do that? They will literally, if they feel like you're not paying attention to them, they'll get in your face, they'll grab your arm, they'll literally pull you to them, and I hate that shit, I'm not gonna lie. And now that I am aware of narcissism, I will tell people, can you stop? Can you back up? I'm talking right now, I'm doing something, I will get to you. Like, I don't care if I sound like, a rude person, a bitch. I don't care. Don't allow people to do that crap to you, And she was being completely rude. She was running late. So I would say she's about an hour late, she said, for her interview. And I already had been sitting next to this young man, and him and I were talking. This damn narc, I'm telling you, I'm talking to the young man, and she's talking to me, and I'm like, I'm talking to him, and she's like, oh, sorry. They don't freaking care, and this, pay attention to conversation styles like this. You mean to tell me this woman cannot see that my body was literally turned this way, talking to somebody to my left, and she's talking about her baby daddy, her kids, and I'm like, can you give me a second? I'm speaking to this young man. It was just disgusting, it was really disgusting. Everything was, this, that, and that, and here came the sob story. I said, yeah, this woman is definitely a damn narcissist. So she goes, remember, the narcissist always has to have this sob story for you to feel sorry for them. And a lot of covert narcissists do that. I personally don't think that she was a covert narcissist. I think that she was definitely overt because of how powerful her energy was, and she was so talkative and vibrant. She was not low key like the covert narc, and it was just like 1, 2, 3, 4. I just knew she was gonna come up with some freaking story, and she started saying, "Oh my goodness, you know what? I don't even know how I'm gonna get home." And I'm just like, here we go, like clockwork. They always got some story for you. And she's like, I don't even know how I'm going to get home. So I said, what are you talking about? She's like, oh, I get paid today, but I had to like wait to get on the train because I didn't have a Metro card. So it was just like, oh, a Metro card is a fare, it's a pass that you use to get on the buses and trains in New York City. So I'm just listening to her, and I'm like, oh really? Okay. So just to throw her off, I was like, yeah, I don't know how I'm gonna get home either. And she's just looking at me like, basically, I shut down that whole sob story. Like, I don't even want to hear it. And this is what they'll do. Narcs will try to get anything out of you. This woman doesn't even know me from a hole in the wall. She did not know my first or last name. She saw me once in a group interview and just completely tried to get a free ride out of me. She probably would have asked for lunch next. Who knew? She's like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to get home. I don't have a Metro card. Well, at least, a guy swiped me on so I can get here. And after she was just saying how she has a job already, she has a husband and all this stuff. And I'm not saying that there are people out there who are generally struggling, but I knew by the way she was acting, her conversation style, her disrespect. Literally, I don't know this woman, pulling me towards her to talk to her. It was just out of control, and I knew that she was a narc. After I got interviewed, I got the hell up out of that office so that she couldn't try to run behind me, because she got interviewed before me. No, actually, I got interviewed before her. The guy went first, I went second, and then she went third. I made sure after I got interviewed, I got the hell out of Dodge. I wasn't paying for her to get on a train. Thank God. People aren't that mean in New York as they say that people are. There are plenty of people who have unlimited Metro cards, and they will literally swipe you on. Like, if you stood near a turnstile and said, excuse me, can you please swipe me on? They'll let you on. But that's just how narcs are. They try to get anything and everything from you. Okay. I'm sorry. I had to tell you that story, because this was brought on of me thinking about narcs in the workplace and how I did have, narcissistic bosses before. And, I will never tell somebody like, oh, as soon as you find out you have a narc boss, quit your job. I would never say that to you, because I understand that if you don't work, you don't eat. Okay, some of us, not me, but I know if I don't work, I don't eat. My parents are dead. I don't have a husband. I don't have family. Like, I can't call up anybody and say, listen, I lost my job, or I don't have any money. I'll just freaking starve. Like, that's my life story. Okay. My friends have kids and other responsibilities, so I really wouldn't go to them and ask them for their help. They couldn't really do much. They look at me like I'm freaking crazy. Okay, so a lot of people have support, or they have wealthy families, and so I would never tell you to quit your job. But if you find out that your boss is a narc, or your business partner is a narc, I would suggest you get online and you start looking for another job, unless you want to live in eternal hell. Okay? But yes, sometimes the universe has a funny way of making things turn out in your favor. You could pray on it. You could do whatever you feel that you need to do. But me personally, I will never work for a narc again. So I'm going to tell you some stories about how it was when I worked with a narc. So many years ago, I was in my 20s. I'm going to say I was about maybe 21, 22 at the time. I applied for a daycare as a teacher assistant. and I got the job, and I was an assistant, teacher. And I love children, but I was also very, very shy. So keep in mind, I'm 21. When you start something new, I had, always like did the nanny thing or babysitting thing since I was like 16, 17. And I was good with children, but it's a little different when you're dealing with like 20 kids, for 8 hours a day. It was new scenery for me. And so I didn't know what narcissism was at 21. Keep that in mind. So I did not know. And when I was a codependent, I was very sensitive. I was the type of person that will get angry, will cry whenever somebody critiques me. That's why I don't like Virgos. I don't date Virgo men. I will do business with Virgos. I will be friends with Virgos, but I will not date a Virgo man because I don't like someone who's always critiquing every little negative thing about me. I don't like that. I've gotten better with it now that I'm healing from codependency, but especially back then, I could not date a Virgo because a Virgo would tear you to shreds. Okay, Virgos are always trying to make things better for you. Even if they're a hot mess, they're worse off than you sometimes, they'll still try to make it better. I don't know why I'm super thirsty. Sorry for drinking on camera. Alright, so, what was I saying? Yes, anyway, so I'm working at this daycare, and I'm thinking I'm killing it. I'm thinking I'm doing really well. I even asked, I got very close to the teacher that I was working with. She was so sweet, and it was crazy because she actually ended up getting sick, I think. Yeah, she ended up getting sick, so I became the teacher of her class while she was out. So I thought I was doing well. The parents liked me. The kids perceived me very well, and it was cool. But the manager, the assistant director, it was the owner of the school was the director. But because he had another job, he was a correction officer. He was never in the building. So there was a woman, his assistant director. She ran the school. So she was our boss. She oversaw us. Let me call her. It's so crazy. I really forgot this woman's name. Like, I really did. Let's just call her Shonda. So Shonda, she, okay. There was a lot of factors with Shonda. I feel like Shonda hired me because, one, she felt I was qualified, but two, I kind of felt like Shonda admired me. Shonda was a bigger woman as well. I have always been fashionable, and back then, 21, I was real fashionable. Like, this is conservative, okay? But back then, it was like, I was all about name brands and, things like that, and looking flashy. Like, my mom was still buying me clothes, so when your parents buy you clothes, you could be fly. So I was just always really fashionable. I never dressed down to work. I always had on, nice clothing and things like that. So I think that a part of this woman, a part of this narc, you understand, a narc thinks that you're pretty cool. They hate you for being who they wish they can be, okay? Whether it's physically or spiritually or mentally or whatever, you are someone that they actually admire, in a sense, like they see something in you that's great, okay? So every time anything I did wasn't good enough for this boss, okay? For Shonda, it was not good enough for Shonda. And I asked her, I said, well, what do you want me to do? She was like, I don't know, like, you're just annoying. Like, I'm looking at her like, what? Keep in mind, I was a codependent, so back then, people's perceptions of me was really, really huge. So I would go home and I would tell my mom, I would cry. I'd be like, oh my gosh, my boss told me, like, I'm annoying. She doesn't like my style of teaching with the children, how I'm not aggressive enough, and she doesn't understand she didn't like threaten to fire me, but she would say things like, if I feel you aren't going to, do more, then, I might have to let you go. So she will always threaten to fire me and, have me on my toes. Nothing I did well. If I came in early, it was a problem. If I came in late, it was a problem. If I did something extra, if she saw that the parents liked me a little bit too much, she always found a way to critique me, put me down, give me self-doubt, and, always have me on pins and needles. Now, here is where it really got to why I had to quit. Okay? This narc was so bold. Alright, she was super, super bold. And it was raining one day. And the school usually had a maintenance guy. But for some reason, the maintenance guy didn't come in that day. So she calls me out of my class. And she says, oh, before you clock out today, can you go in front of the school and sweep? Guys, I looked outside. It was raining outside. Keep in mind, sweeping, like cleaning, like throwing out the garbage and cleaning the grounds of the school wasn't in my description. I was there to teach, feed the kids, give them homework, and that was it. Interact with the students, take payment sometime for tuition. That was it. Me cooking or cleaning, that wasn't in my description. Of course, if a kid peed on themselves or crapped on themselves, yeah, I had to clean the child. But that was it. So this bitch, the narcissist loves to demean you and humiliate you. Okay? It was raining outside. This narc Shonda told me to go outside and sweep. And I'm looking and I'm like, why would I go outside and sweep in the rain? Like, it's not that serious. So I proceeded. It was winter time or fall time. I know I had a coat, so I put my coat on or whatever the case is. I remember like walking with the broom to the door, and I stood there for a second. I thought about it, and I was just like, I'm not about to go outside in the rain and clean. So you know what I did? I left the broom right there and at the door of the job. I saw my bus coming. I walked out, got on the bus, and went home. Okay? I clocked out, went home. That's what the hell I did. Alright? And, I went home. I told my mom, and my mom was like, what? She told you to do what? It was just so disgusting. And through time, her demands escalated, and I decided to quit. Thank God I ended up getting another job. Sometimes if you take that risk and you quit, God will provide for you. God will connect you to something else better that he may have waiting for you. And it wasn't even worth it. Like, the money back then was horrible. Horrible. The money wasn't worth the stress that this narc was giving to me. But let me tell you how good my God is. OMG. Now, let me tell you how I got the victory in that situation. But sometimes it takes years. I know a lot of you don't know. Does the narc really get their revenge? Yeah, they do. Because of her antics, she actually got demoted. She got demoted from being the assistant director to being a teacher. Okay? Did you hear me? She got demoted after I quit that job. Now, let's trickle 2 years after me quitting the job at that daycare. My mother passed away. I was 23 years old when my mom died. And, I needed a job, because I was taking care of my mom full time at the time, and she was my job. And so I happened to know this girl that I went to church with, and she said, oh, you know what? I work at a daycare. I'm going to need an assistant. I'll hire you. And I said, really? She's like, yeah, you can be, my assistant or whatever the case is. So at this point, it happened to be the same daycare that I worked at 2 years prior. What's the odds of that? Okay. So, I get hired on the spot because I knew the girl. I grew up with the girl. And what happened was the owner no longer was director. He was just owner. He never came into the job. Only like once in a blue moon he came in. So the woman that hired me, she was director, and I became assistant director of that daycare. Okay, so guess who was that narc's boss? Guess who supervised her? I did. Okay, so I was her boss. So don't let me tell you something. God is amazing. Many crazy things can happen, and she felt it when she saw it was me. You should have seen her face. You should have seen that narc face. And throughout the time, keep in mind, I am not a type of boss that treats. I'm a kind of boss. I'll treat you like a friend until you think you're gonna disrespect me. Then I'll show my authority. I feel like just because I'm getting paid more or I'm in a higher position, like I just want to just do work, get paid, and get the hell out of here. That's always been my goal when I'm working at, another company and not working for myself. I don't really want to be friends like that. I don't really want to hang out. We can chat, we can laugh, talk about men, talk about women, whatever you want to talk about. But I'm the type of person, I just want to get the job done and get the hell out. So, through time, all she kept saying was like, whenever I asked her to do something, she'll say, it's all right, Miss Angie, you're the boss. And it was just like, okay, so you know what? I got the best of that narc, and it was a great experience. Like, I really never had anything to say to Shonda. Like, I didn't disrespect her. Well, she did her job, but it boiled her every time she saw me, or I would, see her, whatever the case is. She'll just be like, okay, Miss Angie, you're the boss, whatever you want. And I was just like, hey, okay, and by then, 2 years later, my confidence had boosted. I had gone through a lot of, I went through a relationship. I went through my mother's death. So I was a stronger person at that time. So I came in there like I knew what to do, but there's always going to be haters. And there was times where I ran the school by myself because, the director went on vacation or she was sick or whatever. And, people, they get jealous. It is what it is. But it was a great experience for me to be in a management position and to get back at that narc. Okay. All right. So, that is really my advice to you when it comes to dealing with you having a narcissistic boss. Get your job done. Start looking for work. Don't look for work while you're at work. Do it at home. Don't tell other coworkers because you don't want to risk them running to the narc and telling them, the narc boss, what you're going to do. Make your escape plan, because if not, you're going to be miserable. I had a friend, a very close friend of mine, her boss ended up being a narcissist. Thank God, she ended up having a baby, so she was able to go on maternity leave. And when she returned back from maternity leave, that narc boss was gone, but she was, living in hell working with a narc. So, another narc boss I had, this is going to be a quick story because I got fired for the first time in my life 3 years ago. So 3 years ago, my narc grandmother was dying of cancer, and I ended up starting to work at nursing home. Sorry. I started working at a nursing home part-time. I was hired for part-time. There happened to be a woman who was working there. She had worked there for like 35 years, and she was retiring. And the plan was I come in part-time, and when she left, I will take her position if I proved I was worthy, pretty much. And the full-time workers, they were in the union, so I really, really wanted that job, because once you're in the union, you're good. They can't just fire you once you're in the union. So, okay, so I'm working at this nursing home, and to me, everything is going great. The only thing was the travel. I live in Queens, New York, and the job was in the Bronx. Now, I don't drive, but I would take the bus there, and I have to go over a bridge to get to this particular job. One of the things I didn't like about the job, because I was a part-time worker, and they couldn't give the full-time workers too many hours. Once a week, I had to travel all the way to the Bronx from Queens, which is about an hour and a half ride. Okay, an hour and a half ride to get to the job. I had to come in for only 2 mandatory hours. Okay, so imagine you travel an hour and a half to get to work, you stay at work for 2 hours, clock out, and take another hour and a half and get back home, which was freaking insane. Okay, in the beginning, when I got interviewed by the boss, a friend of mine, she worked at this job, and that's how I found out about it. And it was nice of her to recommend me, and I didn't want to F up because my friend recommended me. She really isn't a close friend. She's actually one of my my ex-boyfriend's sister. But I don't talk to my ex, but my first love, I still am friends, or keep in touch with his family. So that's how I found out about the job. So I did not want to piss off this, friend of mine, because, like, she works there. I don't want to make her look bad, that type of thing. I was doing great. Work-wise. I even asked a friend, like, do you think I'm doing a good job? She was like, you're doing a great job. You come on time. The patients love you. And the patients were mental health. These were people, it's a nursing home, but these are people who had mental illness, all different kinds of mental illnesses. And I love that. As you know, I love mental health. If not, I wouldn't be doing this channel. So, what happened was, one particular day, it was a snowstorm, and traffic was horrible. So I ended up getting to work for the mandatory 2 hours. I ended up getting to work 30 minutes late. Now, I didn't keep in mind, at this time, this was probably about 8, 9 o'clock at night. So I don't know why I didn't call the boss. I think because the boss wasn't at the job. I called the job. I let the security guard know I'm going to be late if he had an extra key to let the residents in, because they were going to have like mass. Like churches would come and visit the nursing home and just like pray with the patients, sing songs, stuff like that. So this particular day, I don't know what it was, but nobody had the key. Nobody had the key but me. They could not find the extra key to let the residents in. So don't get me wrong, I had a mini anxiety attack because I'm still new, but all this time, a couple of months I've been working there, I've never been late. Never been late, okay? So that incident happened. I didn't call the boss. I didn't think it really was a reason to call her. That was never like explained to me in the interview. And of course, some of you are probably like, Angie, that's common sense. But really, at the time, I wasn't thinking. And another thing was, I was taking care of my grandmother who had cancer. So I had a lot going on in my mind, okay? So I would say, hey, I was wrong for not calling the boss. Maybe my mind wasn't right because I was highly stressed by, going back and forth, working, getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning just to get to work at 8, and taking care of a narc grandmother who was dying of cancer. So I just had a lot of shit going on. Anyway, so I don't see the boss for like maybe another 3 or 4 days. She never texted me, she never called me or anything like that. But you know what? Let me back up. That incident happened, but let me back up to where, if I knew about narcissism 3 years ago, or actually I was just learning about narcissism in 2015. But if I knew about it, then I would have picked up that this woman was a narc. In my interview, I told her, I knew about the mandatory 2 hours in my interview. I told her I have a grandmother who has cancer, so I go back and forth to nursing homes, to, my house, to be there for her when she gets out the hospital, when she goes into rehab. Like, I have a lot going on in my life. I live in Queens. I can't just jump up and do overtime. And she said, oh, no problem. Most likely you wouldn't be needing to do overtime because we have a full staff. I said, okay, great. It's not that I don't want the overtime. I can't do the overtime because I just have so much going on right now. She fully understood that. Everything was okay in the interview. She hired me on the spot, that type of thing, okay? So I'm going to say maybe a few days into me working there, on my days off, I would get text messages at 5 o'clock in the morning, guys. And this is something a narc boss will do. She would text me 5 o'clock in the morning and go, can you come to work at 8 o'clock? Can you come to work at 7? And I'm like, no, I cannot. And I'm like, what the hell? And this was, because the narc, when they do this, they're seeing if they can groom you into who they want you to be. All right? And she loved my friend because she was able to groom my friend into working all these crazy hours and doing all these things outside of her job requirements and things like that. So that's what the narc boss is going to do. They're going to push you. They're going to work you like a freaking mule, okay? They are going to work you, okay, like a farm animal. Whatever is not in your job description, they're going to ask of you. They're going to be telling you, oh, go get my lunch, go get my coffee. Oh, go clean the bathroom. Oh, can you stay at work a little bit later? You are going to become their personal assistant, their little sidekick. You're going to become, their bitch. There you go. And that's what she was trying to do. She was literally trying to groom me into being her bitch. Anything extra outside, outside of my, job requirement, I was not gonna do. It just wasn't gonna happen. You're not paying me extra, so why am I gonna do that? Okay, so this kept happening, and I was going, why is she doing that? First of all, most people are asleep on their days off at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. And this bitch kept doing this every day off, texting me at 5 o'clock in the morning, asking me, can I work on my days off? After I already told her I am taking care of a sick relative at home. It was just out of control. When I would come to work, she would just give me this weird aura and ask stupid questions, just random stupid questions. And I was just like, I'm not really sure what is this about. So this should have been a sign for me to get the hell out of Dodge. Please pay attention when God, the universe, whatever you believe in, is showing you signs that you're not supposed to be somewhere. Okay, so I was working with the woman that had been working there for 35 years. Keep in mind, she's in her 70s. She should have been retired, but she didn't want to leave, right away. But anyway, so her and I were with patients. Sometimes there are some patients who were in wheelchairs who were too sick to leave their floor and come to the recreation room. So we would go to these little small rec rooms that were on each floor of the building. So we're up there and we're like doing, activities. The woman and I are doing activities. The older woman, let's call her What are we gonna call her? Let's call her Tina. So Tina and I are working together. This is the woman who's going to retire, and I was supposed to get her a job. Okay, so Tina and I are doing some work, and Tina says, I don't feel well. And I'm like, Tina, what's going on? So she's like, I don't know. So let me tell you guys, I've never seen this in my life. I was so scared. Tina sat down in the chair. I looked over at Tina. Tina's eyes rolled to the back of her head. I don't even know if I did it right. And she literally just started sliding in her seat. And I was just like, oh, mind you, this woman's in her 70s. She overworks herself. And I'm going, oh my gosh, this woman is going to freaking die in front of me. This is what I'm thinking, okay? So she's sliding in the seat with her eyes, and then she starts shaking. Basically, the woman had a damn seizure in front of me, okay? There were nurses, you know, of course there's nurses there. So I run into the hallway, and I'm like, help, help, please come help me, come help me. So they rush in. You know, they somehow, you know, got her to, you know, come back to consciousness. We called the ambulance. So I called, you know, the boss, which her name is Renee, okay, which is crazy because I have Renee tattooed on me. Renee's my middle name and was my mother's name. But anyway, so I called the boss Renee, and Renee comes running up. She runs up from downstairs, you know, she comes up and she's like, oh my god, like, what's going on? And they send Miss Tina home, you know, not home, the ambulance came for Miss Tina. I did not leave, you know, I didn't want to leave, you know, until they officially took Miss Tina away. But Renee, the boss, she said to me, oh, well, you need to just go downstairs, and you know, I need you downstairs to do some work. So I'm like, okay. Keep in mind, I'm not gonna front. I'm literally like shaking up. I'm freaking out. Like it was really crazy. So anyway, I'm thinking in my head, like, I really was about to ask Renee, like, you know, I really want to go home for the day. That's how shaken up I was. I was literally freaked out. Freaked the fuck out. Excuse my language. And so I go downstairs, and at this time it's my lunch time anyway. So I'm eating, and as I'm eating my lunch, the boss Renee goes, can you clock back in? Keep in mind, she never asked me, like, Angie, are you okay? Like, are you feeling okay? Like, I know you just experienced something, you know, pretty crazy. And I'm thinking in my head, like, and this is how crazy how the narcissist will have you feeling like something's wrong with you, like you're selfish, like there's something wrong with you. And it's so funny how I told a narcissist this story, and they were like, well, no, I don't really see, like, why the boss should have asked you if you were alright. Like, you weren't the one who had the seizure. And this is what the narcs will do to you. I don't care what anybody says. If you saw a coworker or your friend or, you know, your lover or somebody, you thought that they were about to die in front of you, and you've never seen that before. I mean, I would have said, you know, are you okay? How are you feeling? The narc boss never asked me that. She basically, in the middle of my lunch, was like, can you hurry up and eat and, like, clock back in? Because I need you to do something. Never asked me if I was alright or anything like that. Now, my friends, you know, my coworkers, they asked me, like, you know, what happened? Are you okay? I know you must have been scared. It was no type of comforting or anything like that. Going back to the fact that I was late. So it took about 3 or 4 days before I actually came into contact with the boss Renee. And I go to work. I get to work at 8 o'clock that morning, Keep in mind, I had to wake up at 6, leave my house by 6:30, so I can get there by 8 o'clock in the morning. And she calls me in the office. I get to work. I take out my books. I'm, doing my books. And I'm noticing that my coworkers are extra quiet. So I'm looking like, why are they so damn quiet? I always pick up on auras, but I be like trying to brush it up. Please don't brush off your intuition and your auras. So I'm like, why are they so quiet today? This bitch calls me in the office. Oh, you were late the other night. I don't like lateness, so can I get your ID and your keys? I'm letting you go. What? So she fired me for being late one time. Okay. No warning, no nothing. So I wasn't even pissed about being fired, guys. I was pissed. This bitch let me wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, use my money to get to work, clock in, let me sit down and do my work, told the other co-workers that she was going to fire me because that's the reason why they were all freaking quiet. I'm not stupid. I know she told them that she was going to fire me. Okay? Let me get to work. Go through all of that to call me in her office and fire me. I could have mailed you them damn keys. I was pissed. When I tell you I was pissed, the friend wasn't upset really about it. She felt that the woman shouldn't have fired me. She felt the woman should have gave me a warning. She thought it was a little bit too extra, but I'm so thankful. God always works things out. Everything happens for a reason. A week after that, my grandmother passed away, and I would have got fired anyway because there was no way in hell that woman would have gave me, leave for a death in my family. That bitch wouldn't have cared. And this is the type of things that happen with narc bosses. They do not care. Your feelings their feelings are not involved when it comes to you. They don't really give a damn about anything emotionally when it comes to you. And I really don't want to go too much into the narc landlord, but I'm going to quickly try to get through the story of a narc landlord. A narc landlord will typically, they can be perverts. They will be invasive. They will try to be too controlling. And my mother had a narc landlord, and it was really, really disturbing what I went through with the narc landlord. But I think I'm going to do a separate video about that because this video is already at 15 minutes. So I'll just do a separate video based on the narc landlord. But hopefully this information, these stories were able to help you and confirm narcissists in your workplace or narc bosses. And I hope you're able to get out of that situation, because you know what? Nobody should go to work and feel attacked and be miserable. You spend so many hours, 40, 50. Some people work 80 hours a week. Who wants to be in the atmosphere of narcs? Business partners, find a plan. Do whatever you have to do, legal action to separate your business from them. Or let the court system work it out, pretty much, and be safe, because these people are freaking crazy. But look out for narcs. Stay away from narcs, even in the workplace, even the co-workers. If you sense someone is a narcissist in the workplace, stay away from them. My narc grandmother was a boss, okay, and all of her workers hated her. And I always heard all these crazy stories about how they always plotted to get her fired, and I understand why they tried to plot to get her fired, because I know that she was a bitch to them. Okay, so narc bosses will do that. But yeah, I had another narc boss, many years ago, and I'm gonna quickly tell you this. When I originally got hired, I was 7-day Adventist, and which is where Sabbath worship versus we worship on Saturday. So that's our Sabbath day, kind of like the Jews. And what happened was the person that hired me okayed it. Keep in mind, that's by law. They cannot tell you that you cannot work. Because if I was a Jew and I brung information, paperwork stating I'm a Jew, I cannot work on Sabbath from Friday sunset to Saturday sunset, the Jews got it locked down. But as a 7-day Adventist, they always gave me problems, even though 7-day Adventists have a conference, which is through the government. And I actually brung a letter from the conference office, okay, with the president's seal on it. And this woman that came in after the woman that hired me and told me, well, I don't care what religion you're in, all my workers work on Saturday, and you're gonna work on Saturday. And this is how disgusting these narcissists are. Well, long story short, I did not work on Saturday, and I quit that job too. Okay, I quit a lot of jobs in my lifetime due to narcissists or just not being treated well. There will always be, somebody else, and thankfully I'm able to have my own business. But it's so funny how that particular narc who was disgusting, she even tried to fight me one day. That's another story. Got arrested for stealing $30,000 worth of merchandise from the company. Okay, it was a clothing store. So you know what? These narcs see their freaking day. They do what they do with the energy they put out into the world does come back to them. Okay, so those were my top 3. I think I gave you 3 stories, narcissistic boss situations that I've experienced. And I hope you never go through that again. And thank you for your support. Sorry this video is so long, but some of you love long videos anyway. Okay, talk to you soon. Don't forget to donate. I will continue to do videos, but I will do videos more rapidly the more donations I get, because this takes time and energy, and after a while you need to be compensated for your gifts. And it's not about trying to get rich or anything off that, but if you feel that God is giving you an assignment on your life, you should be compensated for that assignment, whether it is your wisdom, whether it is art, your talent. You should be compensated in some way. You can make your talent and your wisdom a business. Okay, so I really appreciate those who see my wisdom and they are compensating me for the time and effort that I put into keeping this channel. Thank you all. I will talk to you soon. I will probably do that landlord video soon. Peace and blessings.